Hello, 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 everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible, incredible day, and may peace be upon you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching my show. Yes, I can with your host, Dr. Istihar Jamil. And today I have the fabulous, the gorgeous, the breathtaking, and inspirational, and also very, very knowledgeable and expert in what she does, Amy McNally, who is a money mindset and business coach. And today, Amy and I we're going to be diving into the 5 tips to thinking and speaking about money to create your abundance to manifest your goals. So, Emmy, darling, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to share this knowledge with your audience today.
Thank you so much. And Emmy lives in Hawaii. Like, who doesn't like, oh my God, Hawaii, like a dream place for so many people. Hawaii, I've seen it in movies so many times. Emmy and I was just discussing earlier because I'm from Malaysia originally, and it's kind of have similarities. I know the feeling, the vibe, the going to the ocean every single day, 365 days with warm water compared to where I am now in California with Pacific. So, Amy, darling, tell us what started you in this journey of specifically about money, because money is a thing that can be really heavy to some people. At the same time, it can be like something really light, really easy. How did it get started?
Yes, so I love this question because it always kind of makes me reflect back to the beginning, right? And so
Mhm,
what happened for me is my background is in marriage and family therapy. So I
mhm.
was a therapist, I went to school, I had my master's, right? Like I checked off all the traditional, like, here's the things you do in order to create success. I got married, right? Like I did everything in order of how I was supposed to do it. But to be honest, I was still struggling with money. And
Mm,
so I really thought that, okay, once I have this job, like once I have this career, once I finish school, like money, I don't know, I think I thought that money was just going to like rain down from the sky and then all of my problems would go away. But
mhm,
the truth was, like, I was still very much living paycheck to paycheck. Now, we
mhm.
had a beautiful house, my husband and I, like we had vehicles, like we had all that we needed,
Yes,
right? But it was like no matter what we did, we couldn't save and it just never grew. It was just always like at the same
yes.
spot. And I was like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, I was looking
Mhm,
around, I'm like, other people are having so much more success. And so I realized that it was a me thing, right? Like that I needed to figure out because it's not like everybody else was having this, this concern or this problem.
mhm,
So I started diving into everything money. And so it like
mhm.
became my second job. I was studying energetics and frequency and money mindset and money blocks, like everything. I was like getting my a college degree and
Yeah.
money, it felt like, because I knew I had to figure it out. Like I refused to continue going through my life struggling
Mhm.
with money. And so that's kind of how it actually began, is I knew I had to figure it out for myself and my family. And I made a vow that when I did, I would help other people do the same.
That is absolutely incredible. It kind of like starting with your own journey, right? And then reflecting on that and then being aware of your reality. Because I remember one of the things I used to do when I first started was that I teach women how to save money, right? Because a lot of women having high expenses, and as a result, they start sticking into debt and start to teach them, okay, darling, this is how you save money. Okay, 1, 2, 3. But then I found out that even though it's just 1, 2, 3, for example, right? But there was something that's hitting them that is not allowing them to do that 1, 2, 3. And then I'm like, okay, and then what's going on? And then when we figure out that exactly like you said, Emmy, is their thoughts, is their mindset, is their blocks, childhood. And then I'm like, going down into the rabbit hole, like, coming down into the roots, which is having, awareness or whatever it is to break through that vicious cycle and it usually traces from the childhood or what happens younger. It could be a young adults, it could be in a few years back. It's always come back to the past. So one of the things that which mind boggled me, I'm like, okay, this is like some the same with me. That's how I was able to be okay with money um, before money was coming in, and then it would just go away, or I couldn't handle it. I asked someone else to handle it. So talk us through about this process of money and our words and our thoughts, what we speak into it, that kind of created this blocks or mindset blueprint. See how Becca is famous for that, the money blueprint, the mindset blueprint that kind of who we are now in terms of money.
Yeah, so I love that you saw this with your clients too, though, because again, it sounds very easy, right? Like save money or whatever it is with money, right? Raise your prices, right? It can be anything, but it starts to trigger these deeper inner
Mm-hmm.
happenings around money, and it's like they physically actually can't take the action steps that they need to, right? To
Correct.
save or to save, to spend, however it is, and so what I like to do, because there's a bunch of things that we can do to start shifting the way that we feel and we think about money. But for me, it's really about empowering women around money too,
Mm-hmm.
because as we're all aware, like we have been brought up to not be smart with money, right? To not even feel what that experience is like as women, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
traditionally, and this is a whole other topic, but it's like traditionally the men are the ones that are in charge of money, right? So what I like to do is I like to start from an empowering place and just really talk with women and say, like, let's talk about this. How much money are you wanting to make? Right. And this very first step allows women to claim, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to make $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, but whatever it is, right? $5,000 a month. But and then I take it a step further and I'm like, okay, why? Why do you want to make that amount, right? Is it because you're seeing other people talk about those amounts,
Mm-hmm.
or is it because you actually want to make that amount? And so we start there, and it's like, let's dig in. What are you going to do with that money? And so that really starts to open the floodgates of them thinking about money differently, right? Not just because they're seeing everybody else or they think that it's what they should want, but there are some women that I have found that even struggle to claim this, right? To say,
Mm-hmm.
like, I want more money. I want $20,000 months. Again, whatever that is, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, to claim that and then to anchor into why they want it. So that's a fantastic place to start. And then from
Mm-hmm.
there, we get to start looking at that why piece, right? Like, do you want it so that it can enhance your current life? Or do you want it from a place of lack, which sounds like, I
Mm-hmm.
need to pay my bills, I need to get out of
Right.
debt. And immediately it's like these very simple questions. And if you're listening, you can ask yourself these questions, right? Like, you can go along with this process and you can say, how much money am I desiring to make each month? And then from there, why? What am I going to do with it? And this first process is so eye-opening, because you're going to see where their mindset is. Are they desiring it so that they can go on vacations, so they can maybe buy a new home, so that they can, invest in those kinds of things? Or are they desiring it to get out of debt or to pay off bills?
Right.
Because right there, those are two very different energetic states to be in around money.
Absolutely. So kind of bringing into the awareness, is it? Why? What's the thing people say is the big why, right? Why is it so important to you? And like you said, those, whether it's to pay bills or to cure debt or to actually, you know what, I want to have the best retirement I can ever have in the next 5 years. Or I want to go and live at Peru and be with the monkeys. I don't know, whatever it is that anybody desire, so that I can have a passive income, so that whatever it is that kind of like the desire that you want. Because one, like, yes, it pay the debt and everything. It's part of your responsibility and obligation. Like nobody, like everybody should take care of that and be responsible with that. But kind of like seeing the big picture, that's what you're saying, isn't it, Amy? Like that's way beyond paying debt and card, or like for example, you want the best house so that your family can be taken care of, that's, you know, in the best location so that you can work from everywhere, whatever it is kind of your desire. And I feel that this energy part that you're talking about is now, it's not just about money, but it's transmuting to other areas. For example, what I do now is helping women to be the number one go-to expert, whether it's media, publicity. It's the same thing, darling. Do you want to get onto the TED stage? Yes, but and then so it's kind of like breaking through that pattern. It starts with the awareness. Always kind of start the awareness and tweaking that intention, like way beyond that. So, Amy, tell us, what are the kind of the tips or kind of the tools that you use to help out to break through the cycle? Is it meditation? Is it tapping? Is it breathing? Is it combination? What kind of like the best way for people to start with?
I love this question. You can tell that I'm passionate about my work because I'm like so excited to answer this. So yes, so once you kind of have an awareness, right? And there's other steps even beyond that. Obviously, we would be here for hours if we went through the whole process. But really what we want to do once we've kind of figured out, you know, how much you want to make, why you want to make it, what's coming in, what's coming out, right? Like all the more of the masculine structures, I guess that we could say it like that, you know, the hard facts. Once you've gotten that kind of figured out, right? What I like to do with my clients is I combined my background with therapy. And what we do is I actually lead them through emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping. Most people are more familiar with it, with that, but here's the reason why. And most people don't know this. So again, we could do a whole other episode on this sometime, but there's money trauma in our body. Okay. And so I'll explain this super simply for those who are like, whoa, what did she just say? Like, I have no idea what this woman is talking about. So as you mentioned earlier, a lot of our money stuff comes from childhood, right? Experiences with our parents, how we were growing up, what we were taught, what we saw, right? And here's the interesting thing, that becomes a part of our programming, right? It becomes a part of our coding, but deeper than that, it actually is stored within our body, right? You know, we're familiar with things like subconscious, right? And conscious, that's in our bodies. So we have all these money memories. So what happens is whatever our unique money blueprint is around our money traumas, they're constantly being activated when we are in a similar situation, right? And so I'll give you a really quick example. Let's say as a kid, you went to the grocery store and your mom said, we can't afford that, you got to put that back, right? So if that is stored in our body, anytime you hear that, right? Or you have to experience that yourself as a mother, you know, we can't afford that, it's triggering automatically these old responses. So what my job is, after we have identified kind of some of those things that are really keeping them stuck, is we go in and we do tapping. And the reason tapping is so powerful is it starts to not only reprogram those past, you know, those past conditioning, but it actually creates safety in your body around those specific experiences. And so this is really important because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, tapping, it's great, it's wonderful, but there's actually science behind it. And and what it's doing, it's sending calming signals to your brain and it's deactivating your stress response system. So money is very stressful for a lot of people. And so what that means, it's like they get that anxiety, or even setting goals, even something as simple as declaring like, I want to make $20,000 months. That's enough to trigger our stress response system. So I kind of call it like hacking the system. So what we do is we do tapping around the really stressful things, whether current, you know, past, future. Because even you said like, do you want to be on the TED stage? And they're like, yes. but then it like activates all their stuff, right? And they're like, oh, but I'm not good enough. Oh, but I can't
Correct.
do that. And so tapping is such a fantastic tool because it comes in and it's just kind of like, it calms everything down. And then on the other side of that, it's yes, I can, right? Yes, I can do this. I actually can. So it's a really powerful thing to empower women to have that
Mhm.
feeling, right? The energetics, because I am not a fan of faking it till you make it. It's like, let's actually create that for you, right? Like let's
Yeah.
create the safety in your body so you can feel really, really good and empowered around money.
Absolutely. The thing with faking it till you make it, right? You can do it. But, when I do try to do that, I was exhausted, Amy, because it takes a lot of my energy to create this fake persona, whatever it is, kind of like to, rather than being me, authentically me, it's just so much easier, yes, with my insecurities, with everything else. But being who I am is what got me to places or opportunities or the people. But the faking part, like obviously the Instagram now, like everything is perfect kind of thing, but reality is it isn't. But I just wanted to kind of like hone in to the tapping part. Like I was first introduced to tapping, I think it's 2018. We were doing like a co-teaching session. So one of the coach was a money mindset coach, and she was doing tapping. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing tapping. Oh my God, Annie, I was like exhausted. I fell asleep. I'm like, Caroline, why am I so sleepy? Why am I so sleepy? Because it's the first time doing tapping. Like, even though I've done a lot of work, but like just like you said, sometimes it's hidden in the body. All this memory, all this muscle memory, like dancers would tell you they have muscle memory because once they hear a song, even when they danced it for 20 years, they're like, jing, 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 obviously I can't dance, but it's somewhere in the movement. So talk us through in terms of, let's say you come and kind of do a tapping, talk us through on some of the things that, because it can seem a little bit scary. I'm going to be tapping here, I'm going to be tapping here, it's kind of a little bit woo-woo, a little bit scary, what's going to come up from me. Talk us through, rather than the whole process, but kind of what could actually be possible for that. For example, if one of the things could be possible, this particular opportunity could come from, or this particular money that was already meant for them suddenly got released into the bank account, or someone wanted to speak to them about X, Y, and Z. So talk us through in terms of your experience with your clients, the result or the possibilities that people can get just by doing tapping or doing any kind of money work on themselves.
Yes, you have such amazing questions. I love them so much.
Thank you.
So, okay, so what can you get as a result of tapping? Well, for me, it comes back to the energetics, right? And
Mm,
so what that simply means is what we're feeling and what we're thinking is emitting out a certain frequency, right? So that's how you walk in a room and you can feel it, right? It's either like, oh, this, like, I want to be here. It feels good. Or it's like, oh, like you just kind of get that feeling, right? Like something's off. So to marry that with tapping, a lot of women are walking around and they have lower energetic, low vibes, if you will, right, around money. And again, it's not
mm.
their fault because a lot of
Yes,
us, myself included, like we
correct.
weren't taught this and we didn't understand it. I mean, I was a grown adult trying to figure out this money stuff, right? Even after the career, after all
Mm-hmm,
these life,
mm-hmm,
these life things that I had accomplished, nobody teaches you this. And so what happens as a result of doing the money mindset work, right? And again, I think that it's become kind of like a popular buzzword, but I want to say also it's so much more than affirmations, because to me, affirmations are wonderful and I
yes,
love them.
it's one of the tools, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's so much more that we can do. And so
Mm-hmm,
what happens is if you can get to a place where your body feels safe around
mm-hmm,
money, right? Again, it's not being triggered anytime someone even says the word, I can't afford that, right? Or,
mm-hmm,
like you were saying, the muscle memory with the songs, that was a great example because that's what's happening in our body around money, right? It can
mm-hmm.
immediately remember all these things. So where tapping comes in and gives you results is let's say that you felt really strongly about certain things, right? Maybe that women aren't supposed to earn a lot of money. Maybe that's one of your things. Once you do tapping on that, it allows you to actually come out the other side and you think very differently. And so it's such a beautiful blend. Like the technique, it's kind of like a little bit of meditation, a little bit of
Yeah.
hypnosis, like a little bit of everything in one. And but really what it's doing is you're actually creating new neural pathways in your brain. And that's fascinating to me. So again, it's not just like, oh, I'm faking it till I make it, or I'm, saying my affirmations, but it's actually creating change within your body. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happens is whatever used to be really triggering to you, after you've done tapping on it, you feel differently, right?
Yeah.
And that's the energetic piece. So a lot of my clients, I rate them, like I have them rate themselves actually. So they'll come in and I'll say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful is money to you? And they're like, it's at a 10. It is intense. It is so stressful to me. I don't have enough. I can't seem to make it. And we're like, okay, great. So on the other end of working together, we're going to bring that 10 down to a 2
Mm-hmm.
or to a
Mm-hmm.
1. And when we're conducting ourselves and running our businesses and running our lives and our households from that energy,
Mm-hmm.
from a better place around money, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you what, it's like opportunities and experiences. Like you can't even explain it, but it's the energetic piece because you're emitting a different frequency, right? And so
Mm.
you're going to start to attract, law of attraction, amazing opportunities, right? People asking like, how can I work with you? Because it's the energy. Remember, like people don't buy necessarily your product or your service, they're buying you. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you can show up and you have this energy, right? And people can feel it. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what she does. I don't even know what she offers, but I need to work with her, right? And it's like that magnetic pull, which is really just energy that people are feeling and seeing and sensing. So it it can do a lot of things for you, but most importantly, it's going to shift the way you think and feel about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
about opportunities, about money. I use the example of stress, but it can even be like I see a lot of times like women don't feel good enough, right?
Yeah.
Like who am I to make that money? Like, can I
Yes.
make that money? Like, there's so many other people that are better than me. So
Mm-hmm.
again, we want to come in and assess that. And they're not always at a 10, but sometimes they're at like a 7 or an 8 on the
Yeah.
intensity scale. And it's like, if we can bring that down on the other side of that, you're going to feel different. And that's when you go out and you're more bold and you're more confident and you're more willing
Mm-hmm.
to be in a position to accept and receive those kinds of opportunities.
Absolutely. And the thing that you said, right? Oh, yes, I want to make 100K a month. Oh, yes, I want to make this. And then internally, like, I don't think I can do it, or I don't think I deserve it. It can't be that easy. So there is a contradiction in those two. Because of that contradiction, it's not in alignment, more than likely, it's not going to happen. So then people are like, oh, yeah, I did this and I failed, it didn't work and everything. One of the things I wanted to, just before we kind of wrap things up, Amy, is that I meet a lot of women. Yes, I want to do that. Yes, I want to be on Forbes. Yes, I want to be a bestselling author. Yes, I want to be on tech. Yes, 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 TV, whatever it is. But then it comes to the investment part. They're like, oh, and then they come up with so many mind-boggling excuses like, oh, I didn't know that was an investment. First of all, no, but there's no free ride, or I wasn't prepared for this, or haven't got enough, it wasn't like a 30K investment or anything, but it was, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like suddenly they pull themselves back. Money is one of the biggest challenge I've come across women, even though, yes, I dream to be a tech speaker. So can you give us like one simple tip? And for those of you who are interested, I'm going to be putting on Amy's details in the show notes. One simple tip to kind of like overcome that within themselves to like, you know what? This is the amount. I can figure it out. I can make it happen. This is who I need to be. I need to be creative. I need to be this. If I speak to these people, whatever it is. So can you give us one simple tip, even if it's just like a line of tapping or whatever it is, that's gonna jumpstart it to kind of like break through a little bit of that cycle? I know it's not possible in the whole like 3 minutes that we have, but still, like the one advice that you can give women.
Yes. So there's a few things, but I'll be quick. So the first thing is and this is something that I've had to learn for myself on both
Mm-hmm,
ends, both being
mm-hmm.
the one who people are investing in and also being the one investing in myself, right?
Right.
And that is, do you feel that you are going to create results?
Mm.
And just that simple question, do I feel like I can create results from this? Right? Because when it comes to investing, if you strip everything away, right? Because it's very, very, very rarely about the actual money, and it's a lack of belief in their self. Because if I believed that I was going to invest with you, for instance, and you were going to help me do all these amazing things, and I was going to create results with that, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's my money, take my money. But where women get so hung up on themselves is they don't actually believe that they can create. And it's not even about the coach, right? It's
Right,
not about,
right.
it's that they don't believe in themselves that they can create the results. So that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
With anybody that you're investing in, do I feel that I'm going to be able to create results from this? Right?
So
One
rather
way
than
or
that
the other.
person, you bring it to yourself, right? Because it's always like, is it your system? Do you have a good system? You have a process? Do you have the best team? Okay, yeah. And then it's all, so you're saying that, okay, ask yourself, like, shift the focus back to you. Am I going to get results from this? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to get the results? Is that kind of like the thing we're talking about?
Yes. And again, for me, it comes back to the empowerment piece because so many
Mm,
women, and this honestly, it breaks my heart. So many women, when it gets to the investing piece, they have the energy behind it of, I'm going to give this to you. But then they're like energetically strangling that person, right? Like, it has to work. It has to work. And they're putting all their faith into the coach or the program. And it's like, honey, you've given your power away. You are the one that has the
mhm.
power within you. So it's like, the coach can be amazing or not, and you can still get results if you walk in there and you believe that you're going to get exactly what you need. And I'm really passionate about this topic because, again, the energetics, if I invest in you, but I'm terrified and I don't actually believe that I'm going to create results for myself because it's on
Mhm.
me, right? Any coach is going to say, here's the tools, I'll help you, but there's
Correct.
an accountability piece there. And so if you know that you can create results from this, like that's a totally different energy than like this
Mhm.
coach has to get me this result because I invested in her and it's up to her. No,
Correct.
she's a part of it, but it's you, it's your self-responsibility. And so do I believe that I can create results with this person? Is this person going to help me achieve the results that I want to? Yes. Okay, let's go. Right. And
Yeah.
I know you mentioned tapping. So tapping is great to do anytime you're having fears or doubts or
Mm.
limiting thoughts. So a really quick tapping sequence that you could do, you can just repeat the phrase over and over of, to say the truth. I'm scared to invest in this. I'm
Mm.
scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to get the results that I need. I'm scared. I'm
Yeah.
scared. I'm nervous. I'm frustrated. Whatever that is, I'm terrified. You can do
Mm.
one round of tapping of that, and then you can come and shift into, but I'm willing to believe in myself.
Mm. And that is so powerful. Let's start with the truth, right? Because what happens is people jumpstart to what they want without acknowledging the truth or the state or their fears, whatever that scares them off or their insecurities. So I love that part. And I think it's so powerful. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. I kind of start with the truth, how you are, how you're feeling. Like nobody's recording it. It's just you, but it kind of helps to the tap, here, verbalizing it or whatever it is, or do the karate chop or whatever it is. It's so simple. It's a safe thing for you to do. It's mind, body, and soul connection, but it's a safe thing. There's no needles involved. For those of you like, I can't imagine poking myself with needle like so there's no
Yeah.
needles involved that. So say the truth wherever you are at. And I think the truth will set you free. because you're acknowledging it, bringing it, and then shift to like, but I believe I can do this. But I believe I can get results. But I believe, because if you're in the state of being like Amy was saying, like the fear and everything, I give you everything, you better get me result. You're going to cause friction to that person, because that person, rather than their head on getting you the result, they have to babysit you, kind of like working to, rather than this is what you need to be doing, this is what she needs to be doing. Okay, it's done. Like kind of like, so it's not the best place to be, but obviously that's ideally you want to have, right, this is it, you tell me what to do, I trust in your expertise, let's go and make it happen, let's go and make this money, let's go and get those results. That's a really empowering place to say. So Amy, darling, one last question before we wrap things up. What is one fun thing that you like to do that people don't know about you?
Oh, that's a good question. So one fun thing that I like to do that a lot of people don't know, I would say, because a lot of people know, like I'm trying to think of something actually that people don't know. I like to rescue animals.
Oh, that is just beautiful. Is it like any kind of stray animals, even birds or cats or dogs or raccoons? Is there any kind of stray animal?
So here's the funny thing. You mentioned that I live in Hawaii. We actually own a fruit farm here. So we have
Nice.
tons of land, tons of fruit trees. So lately, since we've lived here, I've rescued chickens. I've rescued 2 chickens, like from little babies,
Oh,
and their mom abandoned them. So I raised them. I rescued and raised a kitten here. She's now full grown, but I don't discriminate. I've rehabbed squirrels before. I'm sure some other crazy things. I offered last week to help step in and take care of a pig that needed rescuing. I love it. It brings me so much joy, and it's like it fills a place in my heart that not many other things do. So I help rescue animals, and there's no discrimination on what kinds.
oh, that is absolutely beautiful. I wish I can just like come there, Amy, I'm here. Can I have like can I enjoy the fruit? Take my kids. One of the things my kids wanted to do is to go to Hawaii, because we've never been to Hawaii before. I'm like, Amy, darling, I'm coming. Okay, we're gonna eat.
There you go. I've got you. I can give you the hookup, tell you the good spots. Yes.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to wrap up by saying that, what Amy was saying earlier about energetically attracting the right people. Just give us as an example, like Amy and I, we've never spoken before, but Amy reached out to me to become a speaker at one of her summit. I'm like, we haven't chatted with each other before. So I'm like, okay, darling, let's do it. And it was right at the right moment, because after that, I'm like, I don't do any more free public speakings now. So it was right at the right moment. I'm like, there's something about this girl. I'm going to ask her if she wants to have a conversation with me on my podcast and my TV show. Again, I've never spoken to Amy. I've just given her, we've communicated via email. That's the only thing. But there is something when you kind of have this energetically thing, something about it that the right person would come, or at a particular moment, or whatever it is. Because with my podcast and my TV show, as Emmy knows, she wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I only do it once a month, twice, if I love that person. Okay, so it's very, very exclusive. But I'm like, something in, and it's God knows where I just type in, hey, do you want to be on my TV show? Like it wasn't do you know what I mean? So Amy kind of like showed with this, like how it manifested in real life. Like, for example, Amy doesn't go with certain type of people, the same with me. So it doesn't mean they're bad or anything. It's just, we're not in alignment, or there's something else that we're working on at that moment. So I'm going to be putting the show notes with for Amy and how you can reach out to her. But Amy, darling, thank you so much for the conversation. You can tell I love this topic too. I love money, so money loves me, and kind of having this conversation. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Amy, for being here. Until the next episode, this is your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. Tell yourself, yes, I can. And so it is done. Amy, darling, say bye.
Bye. Thank you.